Hi, first grade. It is time for some magic treehouse. When we were last looking at Jack and Annie, they had run into some hyenas. Let's see what happens. Let's see if they're cowards, whispered Annie. Let's try to scare them. The hyenas laughed and moved a little closer. How? Jack asked. Act like a monster, said Annie. Now! Jack and Annie made terrible monster faces. They put up their hands and rushed at the hyenas. Ah! They shouted. So here they are rushing at the hyenas with their monster faces. The hyenas yelped and scurried off. Scaredy cats, Annie shouted after them. Come on, said Jack. Annie and Jack took off in the other direction. They ran around behind a bend in the river. Jack heard the hyena laughter again. It sounded far away. Good, he said. They're gone. Hey, maybe we can wash over there, said Annie. She pointed to the edge of the forest. There was a small pond surrounded by tall grass. Zebras were drinking the water. Yeah, said Jack, if it's safe enough for them to drink. The zebras ignored them as they walked toward the pond. So here's where the hyena was running away because it was scared. Now they're coming up to a pond. When they reached the edge of the water, Jack set his heavy backpack down in the dry grass. He glanced around. No lions were in sight. But then he heard something on the far side of the pond. Something very big was coming out of the trees. What do you think it is? Should we keep reading? Maybe just a little more. This next chapter is called Spick and Span, which is kind of something people say when something is all clean. Be still, said Jack. Jack and Annie stood frozen as an elephant stepped out of the shadows. It waded into the pond and dipped its trunk into the water. Wow, said Annie. Jack breathed. Whew, a sigh of relief. An elephant was not going to chase them and eat them like a lion would. But still, the elephant was huge. Let's sneak away, said Jack. But I want to watch, said Annie. Fine, said Jack. He was tired of Annie getting sidetracked. I'm going to solve the riddle by myself. I'll meet you back at the treehouse. He turned to go, and a spray of water rained down on him. It came from behind him. He shouted with surprise and looked back. The elephant's trunk pointed straight at Annie. Cool, she cried. He's giving me a shower. Annie's getting an elephant shower. The elephant sprayed her again and again. The mud slowly rolled off her face, her braids, her t-shirt, her shorts, her legs, her shoes. I guess the elephant doesn't like dirty kids, said Annie. Her eyes were squeezed shut and she was laughing. Finally, she was clean and soaking wet. Now it's your turn, she said to Jack. Jack stepped forward and shut his eyes tight. A blast of water hit him. It did feel like a shower, a really strong shower. When Jack was all clean, the elephant let out a grunt. Then he started to splash himself with water. Thanks, said Annie. Yeah, thanks, said Jack. I'm all spick and span now, said Annie. When the sun dries me off, I'll be like new. Good, said Jack. Now we can get serious. He picked up his heavy backpack. We have to figure out the answer to this riddle so we can leave this place before we run into some real trouble. He looked around nervously. Where are the lions? He wondered. A small bird flitted near his head. Hi, Annie said to the bird. Jack turned back to her. According to the riddle, we're looking for something gold and sweet. What do you want? Annie asked the bird. The bird twittered and flew around. Twittered and flew around. Jack and Annie, its feathers were dull gray, but it had a bright, happy manner. Annie, listen to me, not the bird, said Jack. The bird kept fluttering around them. She's trying to tell us something, said Annie. Jack let out a long sigh. Oh, you are driving me crazy today, he said. But I feel like she needs our help, said Annie. Maybe her babies fell out of the nest. Annie, you can't save every single animal in all of Africa, said Jack. This bird is important, said Annie. Trust me. The bird darted over the trees. It landed on a branch and cocked its head to the side. She says to follow her, says Annie. The bird headed into the forest. Annie started after it. Don't go in there, said Jack. You might run into... There was no need to finish. The bird and Annie had disappeared into the trees. A snake or a lion, Jack said to himself. Come on, called Annie. Jack moaned. Ugh. He pulled his backpack on and ran. The peanut butter jar inside of his backpack was thumping against his back. I wonder what they're going to find inside of that forest. The next chapter is called Hi There, like they're saying hello to something. Okay, first grade, we have only a few chapters left in Magic Tree House number 11. I can't wait to see what happens next. Thanks for reading with me.